Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Dr. Alice Benton.
Hello, New Life family, and welcome to the New Life Live radio show. I am Dr. Alice Benton, and so grateful that Steve is willing to trust me and to trust us with his baby here, with his show. And the us includes Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris. She's a marriage and family therapist, and Dr. Jim Burns. He's an author and a speaker. It's a blessing to be sitting down with you two today. And we've got a lot of calls already lined up, which is great to see. I always respect the courage of you folks who are willing to pick up that phone. Before we go to the calls, we're going to hear a little bit from Jacqui, who will be sharing some of her wisdom with us.
So the thing on my mind right now is values and how important knowing our values are. We're moving so fast and trying to accomplish things and make relationships and get more stuff. And we're often finding ourselves in struggles, I think, because we are living outside of our own values. And so I work with our couples and our families, and I'm starting to do more of this with our individuals to figure out what do you value. And so I do a values exercise with them, and we come to their top 4 values, and then we look to see if their life aligns with those values. And so I think it's important that if honesty is a value of yours, that you pay attention to your life to see if your life is aligning with that. You know, I had a client who said family was her top value, but then we did the values exercise and turned out empathy was her top value, which would explain why she had the struggles that she had. And then we can work towards building the life you want because we know the direction you want to go in. It's like creating a strategic plan for an organization. You need to know the values in order to build that plan. And so I just encourage people to take some time to determine what they value individually, relationally, and as a couple and as a family, and so that they can move forward according to those values, just like we do as Christians. Top value is love. If it doesn't look like love, then I kind of got a problem with it if it's in the church. And so values, I think, is a key guiding principle, a key guiding factor for a lot of our challenges to change if we just know the direction we're going, and that's towards whatever that value is.
Our body actually experiences distress if we're living in opposition to our beliefs. We call it cognitive dissonance as clinicians. And so we either have to change the belief or we got to change the behavior to get back to the belief. And if we have beliefs that we don't have the strength to live by, I got my hand raised on that one because that's my struggle, then we need community to get us the fuel so that we can have the strength to keep striving at least to live by our values.
Yeah, and values are how we love our lives, but sometimes we don't put the energy into knowing what those values are. And I think I was thinking about adolescents and also young adults. Sometimes they leave their values of their church and they leave their values of their family. And so then what they do is they change their belief. You mentioned that, Alice. They change their belief because you either run back to your values, especially if they're biblical core values, if you're not living that, or you actually have cognitive dissonance. You change your belief system, and you're seeing that happening over and over again. We get calls every day here at New Life on with who have adult kids or have young kids who are walking away straying from faith, and it's their values.
It's values.
If you're experiencing anxiety, depression, relational discord, it can be directly connected to this issue, lack of clarity about what you want, or maybe it's been tough to speak out your values to the people around you. And we would love to be able to help with that. And so you can call us here at 1-800-229-3000. We'll be taking calls over this next hour. And we've got May lined up. We're going to be talking with her when we come back from this break. And again, we just appreciate all of you listening. We appreciate those who are willing to take the time out to call us. And so we'll be coming back with more wisdom from Dr. Jacqui, more wisdom from Dr. Jim Burns to help you folks out today. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop A lot of people are in, you could literally say, in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Intensive is Saturday, June 1st. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live with Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris here, Dr. Jim Burns, and I am Alice Benton. And we're going to go to the calls now. May, you've patiently waited, calling from San Francisco, California, listening online. Thank you for sticking around for this. How can we help you today?
You're welcome. You guys do a great job, so I appreciate you. The question I have is very simple, and I could get into the emotions and the dates and drama of it all, but if a marriage has never been consummated, a 12-year marriage has never been consummated, is there grounds for biblical divorce?
Oh, May, 12 years of loneliness, confusion, hurt, I'm sure. Please add some more details about the history of this marriage.
I love my husband. I love him in a philo kind of way and not an agave kind of way because of all of this. And in dating him for 5 years, we waited. I thought we were waiting, but it's been a long time, and we've never had that 8th grade makeout session. That's how I put it. We've never had that.
Have you had a open conversation with your husband about your desires, and have you guys explored what the difficulty is for him?
Absolutely, yes. And it's been very civil, and there's no crazy, screaming or yelling. We're very civil with one another. We love each other, but it just seems as though he's not interested. And those were his words. He's not interested.
And what do you know about a history of injury in this area of sexuality on his part through his life?
I know his former wife cheated on him. That's what I've been told. I don't know that, except for what he's told me. And no abuse or anything like that has ever come up. I've asked him point blank, will you, go to the doctor and get medication? And he won't do that. He says he will, but he doesn't. And then I stopped asking.
So go to the doctor and get medication. Is the reason you all are not having sex because of erectile dysfunction?
We've had other kinds of sex for 8 years. I gave him oral sex and got nothing reciprocated at all. Okay. And,
Does he know that you're ready to leave the marriage?
I don't want to blow this up.
Okay.
I don't want to make this terrible for anybody. I just want to get right with who I am and what God wants for me.
Sure. But does he know that divorce crosses your mind even though you don't want to go that route?
It's not something I think of. I wish other things that, are random crazy thoughts that I call myself on all the time.
And you don't share them with him, right?
No.
Okay, thank you for that.
No.
So your question was, do you have a biblical reason for divorce? God permits divorce. He doesn't like it in any situation, but there are some situations in which it is permitted. Abandonment and abuse, and you might feel that this is both of those. But I think really what it comes down to is what you can do to change the circumstance. It doesn't sound like divorce is really what you want. Have you all been to couples therapy?
That's something that he won't do.
Okay.
May, if I was you, I would go to therapy and get the tools to eventually get him there. A lot of times what I find is that if one person will go, and actually, to be honest, you may have to have the tools to be able to say, look, here's the situation. If you won't come with me, then I'm going to separate. And maybe that brings him there, because right now he's kind of getting what he wants, which is crazy, because you'd think as a male, a healthy male, that he would want, a sexual intimate relationship with you. But since he's not, there's a story behind the story, and what you might want to do is get the tools to be able to say, hey, here's where I'm at. Because you're such a nice person, you don't want to blow things up, you said, but you may have to blow a little bit up to get him to move toward, getting him some help himself. I mean, he was in a previous relationship where, she had adultery, but it sounds like he was in a sexual relationship with his previous wife, right?
Sounds like it to me, but I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Okay. So you two hardly ever talk about this, it sounds like, if you don't know some of the ins and outs of this.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. The first 8 years of our marriage we did, and in 2020 I just said, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, you're tired. I hear that you're tired, of the situation. So when you're tired, the thing to do is to move it to the next level. It's hard. Move it to the next level. Get the tools, and we can help you. We can help you with even counselors in your area. But get the tools to be able to, again, kind of create a little bit of a crisis with him, because it sounds like he loves you. It sounds like you love him. So you don't want to just walk until you've done the work, or you're going to probably have some regrets about that. It's very possible that there could be a breakthrough. I've seen this over and over again. Some of my special friends in life are some of the most well-known sex therapists in the world, and they're beautiful people. They're just people who tell me over and over again the amazing results that happen from somebody and something like you. When I first heard you, I was doing a marriage conference this weekend in your area, and I thought you might have been another couple, because they had not been in a physical relationship for 14 years. Well, and I didn't do counseling with them, but once we got to the bottom of it, what they needed therapy with a sex therapist who could help them have a breakthrough. And interesting enough, because we were both kind of in having a conversation, they made a commitment to me. I haven't talked to them since, but they made a commitment that they would go, because they thought that was their only answer. And, that woman wanted to, hug myself and my wife big time. We were both given the conference. So you may want to do that. You may want to find the help you need by starting it, 'cause then he knows you're not happy with this. But then, finding the words and the tools to move it to the next level, good or bad. But then you're going to get some answers.
May I suspect that you and I might have in common, we might both be people pleasers and conflict avoiders, because as Jim pointed out, we don't want to hurt the people around us. But there's a difference between hurting and harming. And sometimes we need to say some hurtful things, and even need to let some anger into our voice so that they know how much it hurts. Because when we're too nice and too kind and too sweep it under the rug, then they don't know how much damage it's causing. And you're weary. This has been going on for way too long, and you shouldn't have to be dealing with it. But I want you to pursue the individual therapy work so that you can unleash some of that anger and know that it's actually loving to speak to our loved ones like that when the situation is so serious and so destructive. Because if you don't reveal that divorce is on your mind, then he's working without enough information, and that lack of information is leaving him too passive. Now, you might bring it up, and he still might remain more passive, but we've got to do what we can on our side of it, and we're responsible to speak that truth that's on our mind. And we can do it with love, but we got to do it with some firm truth. And I need you to wonder. You laugh at that? Yes. All right. Good.
You don't know me.
All right. I go ahead.
I really want to do what God wants me to do on this earth, and I have waited. I waited a long time, and that's part of the frustration for me.
So you waited and then dated him for 5 years and still waited, and then got married, and you still haven't had sex after 12 years of marriage.
No, I mean, I haven't had sex in 30 years because I waited.
That's what I mean. So you waited and then dated. So
Waited, dated, waited more.
Do you know if your husband grew up in church? Were you guys in the age of the purity culture? Abstinence movement?
Well, no. He grew up in a church. I don't want to disparage the church or anything like that, but he grew up in a church and, got out of that church and found Christ, and he's a believer. And
some of us had experiences in church that have impacted our sexual experiences, and not for the better. And so there may be some things connected to his childhood that he's not even aware of.
So this is what we want to do, May. We're going to send you How We Love, because it equips you with the right wording of how to ask these tough questions, but with a whole lot of gentleness and grace. And we also want to invite you to our Intimacy in Marriage weekend. It's in July 26th in Washington, D.C. And I've worked some of those groups at those weekends, and you would not be alone in the struggle that you're dealing with. Many couples have brought this very same thing up. And so for him to get into a group, a small group with other men who are a little bit willing to reveal, to start talking about this struggle, that might help crack this open. So May, we're so grateful that you called. We're going to send How We Love out to you, and we will certainly be praying for you. Thank you, May. We're going to go to Cindy now. Cindy's in Knoxville, Tennessee. She's listening online. Cindy, welcome to New Life Live. How can we help you?
Yes. I don't know if this is the right question, but my question is, what type of therapy works best for betrayal trauma? Or maybe therapy. My reoccurring issues over the years that I've seen just kind of keep rotating and cycle back is a lack of organization, overeating, biting my nails. My home is borderline hoarder is what I would call it, and then procrastination. And then I'm not in a relationship now, but I tend to get in, I don't know, they end up being unhealthy relationships. I've tried a lot of things over the years. I've been to Every Heart Restored. I was a part of Dr. Sherry's group for 2 years. I've done a lot of counseling. I did the emotional healing or freedom workshop that y'all do. Yeah, I've done Al-Anon. I've done Boundaries. You know, they're helpful in the moment, but a lot of them just don't support, I feel like, my learning style. I was thinking a lot about this, of how I learn best, and it took me back to when I was in 6th grade, and I didn't know all my multiplication tables, and so they put me in a special class that did a lot of rote, and that's how I learned them, was by repeating. So I don't know if it's a learning issue. I don't know where I need to go at this point.
Well, it's interesting that you are associating this difficulty with your learning style. So you learn best by having things repeated over and over and over again, or by repeating things over and over again for yourself? Do you need to hear it over and over again, or do it over and over again?
hear it over and over again. Hear it over and over again, see it over and over again.
So then part of the challenge is you go to those events and those trainings and they speak over you and then it's done. So you have to take what you get in those events and continue to speak that over yourself. The repeating over and over again has to come from you.
Okay.
I hear the music coming, so
okay.
I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Alice, but just be thinking about that.
Crunch on that over the break, Cindy. And as you have done some groups, I also want you to be thinking about, does the frequency of the groups need to even increase? I'm sure you've heard 90 meetings in 90 days. Sometimes we need to ramp up the rate that we're involving ourselves in a group or in therapy in order to have that next level of breakthrough. So, Cindy, we will come back to you after this break and hear more from Dr. Jim as well. Thank you for holding on, Cindy.
For over 35 years, New Life Ministries has provided help and hope in life's hardest places.
We've struggled a lot with communication. I have struggled with anxiety.
My wife had a sexual affair with my son-in-law.
She said, "Dad, I don't like how you talk to me."
New Life focuses on bringing true healing to those dealing with relationship issues, mental health struggles, and addictions.
After work, I listen to you, and it just helps me with questions that I'm having with my marriage, with my family. I am so blessed to have New Life in my life.
I just wanted to say that you guys saved my life.
Recently, friends of the ministry came together with a matching gift challenge to encourage you to join them in giving. Because of the matching gift, right now every dollar you give is doubled, up to $400,000. Giving is easy. Go to newlife.com/donate, text MATCH to 28950, or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And thanks for making a difference. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career or possibly strengthening your relationships or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps toward your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Before we go back to Cindy, we will have our Emotional Freedom Intensive online on June 1st. And I wondered, Jacqui, would you just tell us a bit about what people will get to experience there?
So I have the pleasure of sharing about trauma and grief. I get to talk about what trauma is, how we respond to trauma, and how those responses can show up in our life, often looking like sin. And so we ask, what happened to you? And we take a look at, what's my story? And the same with grief. Grief and loss can lead to some symptoms and some ways of reacting and being in a relationship that aren't helpful. And so I just get a chance to share a few little tips on how to overcome those things and how to get your footing back. And then you get to go into groups and chat about those things with other people who are going through similar situations. And I've gotten the chance to be a part of those groups as well. And it's just such a great place to explore that common theme that was just discussed. And it was fascinating to me. Every woman in the group had a similar story. So we're all going through things. We've all been through things. We've all experienced loss. And so you're not alone. And I think that's one of the big things that comes out of Emotional Freedom Weekend is you see all those people there that are dealing with challenges similar to yours.
And if the logistics of flying to a weekend, traveling to a weekend have kept you from attending, this one is online, and it's so powerful online and convenient and cost effective for you folks. So please give us a call about attending that weekend. Thank you, Jacqui. And Cindy, Jim has some words of wisdom for you about your situation.
Hey, Cindy, I actually think you've done an amazing amount of work. For you to be 2 years with Dr. Sherry's group, and then you named every program that I think New Life does. You must get it. We need to give you a star. And you know what? The answer isn't in a program. And we sometimes, I think, oversell that by saying, well, you have a breakthrough experience and there you go. You have the tools now to do that. What I would do is I would find somebody who, you commit with for a while, and they do what I'm going to call personally tailored discipleship. Now, again, that sounds more like a preacher than a counselor. But, discipleship is simply somebody taking you hand in hand and working through that process who knows you. You take all the skills. You've got the skills. You know what to do. Now, there hasn't been a breakthrough. So and there's probably been some breakthroughs. But, you mentioned betrayal, and we haven't talked about that. But whatever it is, find someone who you love and trust and, who can help you walk through that on a regular basis. Sometimes we call that a coach. And sometimes we need deeper therapy than what a coach can do. But I find that there's some people who say, you know what, I did all these things and I couldn't put it all together. So what you do is you talk with somebody and go, here's what I've learned here, and just kind of dump it on them. And it's repeat. The Bible says, says discipline yourself for the purpose of godliness. That's what Paul said. We're called to discipline ourselves. And part of this now is to discipline yourself for your walk with God and how you deal with these things. And don't expect it to be perfect. This side of heaven, it's not going to be perfect, but you can get farther. But I don't expect you ever to, call and go, you know what, now life is perfect. And, I've been through all this horrible stuff, but now I'm good and I don't have any more problems. You may be looking at it like that could happen, maybe even in your heart, not just, talking about it. So I want to have you consider getting somebody to kind of help you coach, disciple, mentor, whatever it is, with all the good stuff you've got. Now let's put it together and walk that passage of life.
Cindy, I also want you to look at the brain chemistry side of what you have been through. And even if you already take supplements or take medication for mental health purposes, sometimes we need that adjusted or added or increased. And Dr. Daniel Amen has a great free questionnaire on his website that can help you determine what area of my brain might be limping along and need some added assistance, whether that's homeopathic or you go the psychopharmacology route. And then EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, is a form of trauma therapy that can help you get to some lower levels of subconscious that are hard to get to in talk therapy. And we have clinicians in our network who provide that. So if you stay on the line, we can get you connected with one of our EMDR therapists. And because you probably have most of our books, because you seem like an avid New Life fan, I want to send to you Misty Arterburns' Every Woman's Bible. That's our newest, our latest and greatest. So Cindy will be getting that out for you. Thank you for not giving up, because the time of our lives is going to be passing anyhow. And so what do we choose to do with it? And we know that ongoing recovery through these different formats and facets, it does work, but the process is slow, and sometimes we don't notice the change over time. But keep at it, Cindy. We are going to go back to the calls and talk with Anne-Marie, calling from New Hampshire, listening on Alexa. Anne-Marie, we don't have much time before our break, so give us the question first, and then we'll ask for the details later. Anne-Marie, we're not hearing you. And so we're going to give you another shot when we come back from the break, so that we'll hopefully be able to connect with you and hear your question. Folks, as you hear us making these referrals to the different resources we have, whether it's our coaching network, our counseling network, our weekend intensives, or our New Life library of books, All this is accessible to you. It's just a phone call away. 1-800-NEW-LIFE will get you in touch with our team. And even when we're not on the air, they can help determine which next resource is best for you and your particular situation. And so calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, you can talk to one of our team members directly, and they will get you linked in to our great resources that we have available. We'll be right back after this break.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery. And one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We're going to go to Anne-Marie in just a moment, but I want to remind you that when you give, when you generously donate to New Life, whether it's a few bucks or a larger gift, you are helping hurting folks. I think one of the most beautiful things we do is our scholarship program, that we help people get to our intensives, even if they can't afford it, and we do that based on the generosity of our listeners. Right now we have a matching gift, and whatever you can give, large or small, it will be doubled. And so if you are willing, if God nudges you to give, visit newlife.com/donate, or you can text MATCH to 28950, or you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And if you're able to give $100 or more, we are so glad to send back to you the Every Woman's Bible, which was edited by our own Misty Arterburn. So you can look forward to that. And thank you to all of you who have generously given already. So Anne-Marie, we want to be able to help you. What is going on for you today?
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Keep going.
Okay. Well, it's hard to sum it all up, but I would love any recommendations on just dealing with my adult daughter. Trying to say it in a nutshell, she blames me for encouraging her to stay in college when she didn't like her degree that she was going for, and after 2 years of the degree, she called and said, I don't want to do this anymore. And my husband and I basically talked her into staying in the program. It's a very demanding medical program. And we just thought it was hard for her. Not hard, but it was challenging doing clinicals and different things. And then she graduated and just was just really, really upset that she stayed in that field, and basically for the last 10 years has really, it's gotten better, but she's had a lot of anger towards me, saying that I was controlling and I gave her really bad advice. Then she would bring up previous things when she was in sports and wanted to stop, and I would encourage her to stay with it. She was a very good athlete, so I think that was probably a driving force that I wanted her to stay in it. And now I look and I learned maybe I shouldn't have. But
you saw her potential, and you didn't want her to quit things just because they were too difficult. It's such a tough balancing act as a parent to know, when do I let them step away from a good activity or good pursuit? Anne-Marie, did she stay in the medical field?
She did, and then she worked in it for a few years, and she would work at a job for about a year, and then she would interview for another job. She got every single job she interviewed for, and some of them were in incredible facilities, but some of them she didn't even stay more than 2 days. She didn't want to do it. And for the last 10 years, she has done really, she just hasn't been able to find what she wants to do, but she's also pushed herself away from family, friends. She doesn't associate with any of her friends. Family things she comes to, but it's more out of obligation. And so I've had to take a big step back, but I just don't know if there's something more going on with her. And she does not want our advice, my husband and I advice at all.
Okay. Let's see what we can figure out with you here.
Well, Anne-Marie, I think you are having an issue that a lot of parents of adult children have. And here's my suggestion. I think you're going to have to reinvent the relationship. And what she when you're talking about the medical or when you're talking about sports, those are all great things. I mean, that's not a problem. However, as an adult child, she views your unsolicited advice as criticism. What I mean by that is, although you're not trying to criticize her, what that's her intention. She says, well, mom's giving me this advice because she doesn't believe I'm all grown. So I would move the relationship now, especially right now, to bring this back, empathy. Give her empathy. And even, you know what, honey, I'm so sorry. I thought I was helping, but I obviously wasn't. I'm sorry. Don't go tit for tat. Don't try to argue. Don't try to make your case, but just simply say, you know what, I am really sorry that I have, it sounds like I offended you, and I just think so highly of you, and move from, you kind of handling any of that to really honestly, bite your tongue, don't give advice, don't try to fix it. You have good intentions, but she's now looking at those intentions as wrong. So, the principle is unsolicited advice is taken as criticism. And it just shocks us because, I always think, I'm an advice giver. Why doesn't my daughter take my advice? But the fact is that she's probably looking at it in a different way. So move it to empathy, and you may see a change, and you may see a breakthrough on that because that may surprise her. But when she would take it, just take the hit. Don't try to defend yourself, and just go, wow, I am so sorry, because try to, look in her shoes, and she's just looking at it differently. But also don't beat yourself up. You did the best you could, and, she took it in a wrong way. But I wouldn't keep doing it.
That is, yes, I learned that through her. She has taught me that. That's what she's looking for.
Yeah.
And
just the validation.
Yes. Through a lot of arguments, I finally realized that I had to hear what she was saying. And I actually, for the last 2 years, it's been really difficult, but I have not. I've done those things, and we've had a lot of conversations where I had to say, I'm sorry, and try to see where she's coming from. I guess when I see that she is not a happy person, and if I told you all the things that are going on, I feel like you would say,
she's depressed. But I don't know if that's what it is. I mean, if I said that to her, she would never.
It probably is. And she's probably been depressed for a long time, even in those times where you were encouraging her to continue with the sport she was really good at. But maybe in her heart, she was unmotivated, because often depression makes it hard for us to do things we would typically enjoy, because we lose that desire because of the depression. I have adult daughters, and I agree with Jim. Validate what she says, and sometimes it's helpful to have a conversation where you ask, are there any other things that come up for you that you want to talk about from your childhood? What was it like to have me as a mom? I know I've had that conversation with my kids, and we have an open door policy. They will check with me to see if I have the bandwidth for it. But when a new memory comes up, I love when my daughter calls me and says, I found a new core memory. Do you have the bandwidth? Can we talk about this right now? And if I don't, because I'm a therapist and I teach, if I don't, I can say, I can't do it right now, but can we do it at? And I'll set a time and make sure I'm available for that. And I have found that when I validate their experience, what happens is some other day, they come back around and they're like, oh my gosh, when you were my age, you had 2 kids and a deployed husband, and that had to be so hard. They can see me and my perspective once theirs has been cleared, once I've acknowledged, man, I hate that you had an emotionally unavailable mother. That was a bad choice. There are some things some choices I made that still harm my kids, that still comes up for them, they still get triggered by. And when it comes up, I sit in it with them. My daughter was 5 years old, and I needed to pick up a friend's daughter, and we were late already, and it was getting past the time where they were going to call the police, and I'm telling her, we got to go, find your shoes, and she couldn't find her shoes, and so I left her. School's across the street, so I knew I'd be back quickly, but she is 32, and that is still one of our biggest struggles. You left me. And so every time it comes up, I sit in sorrow with her and I repent, right? You know what? I shouldn't have left you. I can't imagine how scary that was for you. And it's hard to sit in those things, but I think what Dr. Burns said is correct. It's time to form a new relationship with her. And it can be really exciting when you get used to just being the sounding board for them. Because what we think of as advice, they think of as demands or criticism. I'm shocked that my adult children think when I make a suggestion, I mean it emphatically. And I'm like, no, do what you want to do. I was just telling you about my experience. So things have to change in the way that you approach conversations with her.
And Anne-Marie, your daughter may be impossible to please because it sounds like she's displeased with many areas of life and many workplaces. So hold that too. You probably also did a great job as a mom, and you had a tough kiddo. I'm going to send you Doing Life with Your Adult Children, which is by Dr. Jim Burns, and that will really back up what you have heard here today and give you more help as well. We'll be right back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022, That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
I'm Steve Arterburn from New Life. A recent edition of the New York Times featured a news story of a new toy, a plush Ask Me More Eeyore, modeled after the gloomy character from Winnie the Pooh. The toy is designed for children ages 3 to 7. The paper remarked that these are just the right ages, apparently, to learn about undaunted pessimism. Eeyore responds to children's questions with comments like, "Don't count on it," "Doesn't look good," "Outcome looks sort of gloomy," "You can't win them all," and "Looks good for you," "Must be nice." Sometimes Eeyore will even ask the child, "You wouldn't want me for a friend, would you?" As if life isn't tough enough for kids. Do you have a gloomy Eeyore in your life? Perhaps you've taken on that role for yourself. Friend, if you're busy looking for all the things that can go wrong, you're sure to miss the blessings God has prepared for you. I'm Stephen Arterburn. Come visit me at newlife.com.
I think that Eeyore is keeping us in business, and we have to be so cautious guarding our minds and the ears of our children, because ongoing negativity, it gets into the very soul of us and our children. So thank you for that wisdom there, Steve. We're going to speak with Rose next, but hold on, Karen, we're going to try to get to you. Rose calling from Chesapeake, Virginia, listening on YouTube. How can we help you, Rose?
Hi, I've called several times before, but my call today is about my daughter who's 40, and I've called once, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, because she's found out within the last few years that she has ADD. It's been a long journey because I could see it and had to wait like parents have to wait to drop the bomb, right, so to speak. But she did find out that it's true. She's gone to a psychiatrist for the testing and found out it's true. And she has had, she's got a 9-year-old daughter and a 11-month-old now, and she's just found out she's pregnant. And I'm calling today to ask, and she knows I'm calling too, that she was wondering, I know that there are medications out, but are there any new methods or ways of dealing with this when a mom is pregnant and needs some medication?
Rose, we're going to start out admitting our ignorance about this because we just don't know enough about those meds in particular to be able to give her direct advice, but we can give some suggestions to figure that out. Thank you.
Yes.
I actually encountered a similar situation when I was pregnant and I was taking an antidepressant for my anxiety. So I had the same conversation with my doctor, and he helped me look at the risks of the medication, which are frequently, I can't speak to those meds your daughter's taking, but the risks are frequently small versus the harm of me being an anxious, unmedicated mom, and how bad could my anxiety possibly get, and how might that impact my spouse, my pregnancy, my unborn child, and my other children. And so have your daughter talk to her doctor about that. How bad can things get if she is not complying with medication? But there are also
She's not using meds, but
she's not now.
She's not using medication now. No.
Well, then frequently most doctors would advise that they don't tend to start a pregnant woman on a new medication, but they rather give her other methods of dealing with something like ADD or ADHD until after the pregnancy is completed, after the baby is born. Dr. Daniel Amen has such fabulous information both on homeopathic treatment for ADD and then all of the behavioral Okay. And all the behavioral components that can go along with intense exercise and the right diet can help with the effects of ADD. And so we'd have your daughter pursue all of those things, and that's kind of where our wisdom ends on that one. But we also want to send you, we would love for your daughter to Take Your Life Back, because it's just such a great book to help with any of these big things, the mental health symptoms we're dealing with big issues and big problems in our lives. That will help give her a roadmap of what else she can do as she faces this pregnancy and the birth of her next baby. So, Rose, we thank you for your call, and we'll get that book out to you.
Maybe we could connect her with a coach, because an
Great
executive
idea.
functioning coach or ADHD specialist coach can help her as she's moving through this pregnancy and prepare her for the birth of the baby.
Stay on the line, Rose. We'll give you a connection to that. And we're going to fit in one more call. Karen calling from Plymouth, Massachusetts on WEZE. We don't have a lot of time, but we wanted to fit your call in. We just start with the question, and then we'll get more details from you.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
I just have the question is trying to understand my partner's sexual behaviors. I've been with him for 7 years, and for 7 years he continually goes online and tells women that he's single. He sends them, nude photographs of himself. And then when he's caught, he just leaves, just runs home and goes to his mother's house. And I'm just trying to understand, that type of behavior and how to handle it.
Yes, that would be difficult to understand. You've talked to him about it. He just goes home. You want to understand it, or do you want to see if there's something you can do about it? Because the problem is coming from something that has happened to him in his life, and he's got to figure that piece out. But it's impacting you. So one way you could gain some more understanding about how it's impacting your life, or maybe even learn some questions to be able to ask him, would be having your own counselor.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand. He's not a young guy. He's 68 years old. And this is just a game, he says. He never meets these women. It's just a game. So I guess my question is, and every time I try to contact him after he runs, he just says, I can't talk to you. I'm embarrassed. I've done something wrong. And he won't connect with me at all. And I've tried now to connect with him for 3 weeks.
Karen, I'm interrupting because, sister, I'm worried about you. And I wonder, what is the pain you've experienced in your life that you're willing to keep pursuing a man who downplays what sure sounds like sex addiction behavior? Oh, your heart needs and deserves better than this. Now, it may be that miraculously he's willing to get help, and he could come to our every man's battle, because we know what to do to help break this level of addiction, because he may very well be coping with some distress on the inside. This is the way he copes with it. That's an explanation, not a justification. But I'm worried about you continuing to go after him when he's treating you and your relationship in this way.
Well, I think it's what I'm doing is I'm looking for just a conversation as to why. You know what I mean? Like, why do you do this?
He doesn't have an answer for you. He cannot answer that question.
Right. So I guess I pursue it because it's like after 7 years, it's like, don't you owe me a conversation? Don't you just run away?
Well, he owes you fidelity, but you're not getting that from him. So the conversation isn't coming either. You're chasing after something that he doesn't have to give you. And so rather than focus on him, focus on you.
Okay.
And Karen, there is an answer to your question of why, but he'd have to be willing to dig down and do the hard work to get to that. He doesn't sound like he's interested, but if he is, our everyman's
he's not interested.
okay.
He's not interested.
Then Karen, I'm going to interrupt. We're coming to the end. then what we want to do is help you. And so we're going to send you our Intimate Deception book by Dr. Sherry Keffer. And I want you to consider attending our Restore Weekend for situations just like these. That's coming up in July. So stay on the line. We'll get you more information about that, because God wants better for you and for him than this. Karen, do not settle for this. And I don't know if it's worth waiting in this relationship to get the answer. Folks, as we close the show today, we're so grateful for all of you that called and all of you that tuned in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.